It sounds like Nick Eatman had the reaction that myself and many did. I felt unfulfilled. Kevin Hagelin, he never tweets anybody back, but he saw my cry for help, and he tweeted back to the Tolos, somebody fulfill Sharif. I was angry at the league for having this be a possible result, and I wanted something to be decided. 40-40 against Micah and the Packers. And Nick Eatman, Bobby was telling me you were kind of frozen there trying to figure out how to cover this for DallasCowboys.com. Nick joins us here on Shan and RJ, brought to you by the WinStar World Casino and Resort. Was that the case?
Yeah, I was staring at my screen for about 20 minutes or so. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know what to feel, you know? I mean, but ultimately, as I continued to write the column, I think if you read the whole thing, you kind of see, like, I'm starting to get a little bit more pissed off about the actual, like, just the fact that there is a tie, you know, and obviously this is something that's happened in the league for a long, long time. You know, I was listening to that clip you just played. It's like Brad Sham, he's called everything, right? He hasn't called the tie, I don't think. Mm-hmm. And so, like, that's just kind of weird when you think of it that way, but. Yeah, I hate the rule, and I hate the way it's just, like you said, just unfulfilling.
So the headline ended up being 1 second from a win feels more like a loss. Bobby had said that the players and Jerry were walking back to the locker room kind of with the feeling of a loss. Why are you feeling that way versus the other side you could take?
Yeah, and I hated the headline, by the way. You know, this is one of those decisions that, like, 1 a.m. and I'm driving home and I'm thinking maybe I should change it. I didn't know what to think really about it.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is just from the order of events. You know, I think if it would have been flipped around, you might have thought of it differently. But when you think of the fact that they score with less than 5 minutes to go to take the lead, I mean, you're like, all right, I need one stop, and you don't get it, and then they get a touchdown, and then you come back and you score with 40 seconds. Okay, certainly you're going to win now, and then you don't. And then you get the ball in overtime, you drive down, you first and goal at the 7, you end up getting a field goal. There's a 4th and 8 to win the game, get off the field, you can't do it. And then you're down to 1 second, and there's 1 second left in the game, you still think you might have a chance to win. So all these chances to win, and you don't, that's kind of why, to me, it feels like a loss.
Let's go to 4th and 5. I've been the biggest supporter of them kicking the field goal. Bobby is basically devastated over it, and Choppy could be talked into anything like most things in his life. Where
give me a good argument, I'm in.
Are you talking about in overtime?
Yes.
Okay. Well, to me, it comes down to before that. You got to make that decision before that. That's why I didn't love the Dak. You know, I didn't love the scramble on second half. If you get down there and it's first down and you get I think they got to the 4. And then, you know, if you're gonna decide, hey, we're going for it, then I don't like the play calls on second and third down either. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily. I was fine with the field goal from where they were, but more I thought about it as you know, like later, like after the game was over, I was like, I would have run it with. I don't think Javonte Williams is. I mean, I don't think they could have stopped him if you would have thrown it. You know, to run it there 2 or 3 times. And so worst case scenario, it's 4th down and you're on the 1 and you go for it. You don't get it. Well, at least you've got him pinned back there. And so I would have probably liked that situation, actually. But I didn't hate it at the time. But, you know, all these what-if scenarios, you're like, yeah, maybe. But not on 4th down on the 4. But I would have run it more to get it closer.
Nick Eatman from DallasCowboys.com joining us here on 105 through the Fan. Okay, Nick, so here's my thought on that specific play and what's, I guess, bugging me about it. What bugged me about it then and what bugs me about it now is that you were kept in that game for 65 minutes by your offense, and you were kept in that game by Dak Prescott and George Pickens and the things that they were doing, Javonte Williams, and it felt like Shoddy had decided that we're gonna kick this, and we're going to put the game, we're going to give this opportunity to win the game for us to the defense instead of the offense who has put us in this position in the first place. That's what didn't sit right with me, is that it felt like all this compete, and they were put in a competitive position by the offense, and then it was taken out of their hands. That's what I didn't like.
Yeah, I'm with you. I understand that. It's just that the overtime, the whole stuff is weird because it's like the fact that you're playing with this squeezed quarter of 10 minutes, it just seems it seems weird because it's like changes your mindset.
Hey, Nick, let's reset the call real quick. We're getting some weird buzz. Jake, go ahead and hit him back and try to go ahead and reset it. But that's Nick Eatman lost and confused over what to do with that tie.
Again, I didn't know when. I think I saw the stat. 1969 was the last tie. That blows the mind.
Yeah, and second most points ever in a tie game.
Which was the higher one? My goodness. Because there was a time 40-40 is an obscene score.
Yeah.
Obscene.
Javonte Williams, by the way, right now, he leads the NFC in rushing touchdowns. He is second in the NFC in rushing yards, 2 yards behind Bijan Robinson.
Let's get back to Nick Eatman here on 105.3 The Fan. Go ahead, Nick, your thoughts.
I can't remember where it left off. I think it was more about the defense, or Bobby's point on defense, on just putting the game on the defense. To me, what makes it so weird is just how you have to manage the game in overtime with the clock, and then obviously the kind of the unique rule there. I didn't hate just scoring and saying, all right, let's see if we can just make one stop. Plus, with the clock kind of running out, maybe if we can hold them to field goal, you get a chance to come back and win it. But I think I hate the rule. I hate the fact that when you walked into the stadium, it was absolutely electric, okay, because the Packer fans made it that way. The Cowboy fans, every time you heard Go Pack Go, then they would drown it out. It was just this incredible scene of emotions. And then at the end of the game, when it's over, it's like nothing from anybody.
Yeah.
And I will never – I don't know if I've ever said it, but I certainly will never be like, man, what a game. It's a shame somebody has to lose. No, screw that. Somebody needs to lose the game. Because that's just what we do. You play, like Herm said, you play to win the game. And I was a little confused with what Matt LaFleur was doing, because that just seemed kind of odd the way they weren't really in any kind of rush.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it almost cost them. It almost cost them.
I know. And I to me, it's kind of like I just thought they were going to just play for the win. I mean, I thought they would just go down there and try to play for the win. Yeah. So I'm just kind of, it's just different. I've never done it. I've never been around a game like that. Well, I guess I have, the Giants game, but it just kind of the way, do you play for the win or play for the tie? I just kind of thought they would throw it at the end zone more and try to win, especially because it seemed like it would be a pretty good thing to do. You've already had one extra point blocked. I don't know, it's not like they've been stopped throwing it into the end zone. So look for Dobbs and throw it in there.
Nick, what was your initial take when they decided to kick the extra point instead of going for two down 13-8?
It was funny. People to my left and right were asking me about it. And I was like, no, kick it. I mean, don't chase points this early. I mean, I wouldn't have done it. I would have kicked the extra point. And my main thing was like, if you give up a field goal right after this and you don't make it, you're down by 8 instead of 9. To me, I don't look for going for 2 until later in the game. But it's not so much a chart as it is, do you like the play call that you have? Do you like those calls? I mean, how many 2-point plays do you feel good about? So I don't know. I think early in the game I would have just kicked it. You obviously would not have.
Your thoughts, Nick, on the Micah circus, the storyline, and his actual game?
I'm glad it's over. It certainly is. It was a soap opera, and it and rightfully so. But I mean, we've seen every game Micah's played, right?
Yeah. And
we know that he makes a difference when he doesn't get a sack and all that stuff. So I'm not going to say that he wasn't a difference maker, because he was, they had to chip a lot and all that. But when you think about, man, this team with CD out and 2 starting linemen out and finished with a 3rd lineman out of the game, your backup running back, who's your 3rd down back, was not in the game, and they go down the field without, against Micah Parsons trying to close it out. They got Nate Thomas at one side, and they've got, Hoffman and Bass in there. and they scored 40 points on the Packers. I mean, it's an impressive thing for what the Cowboys did. They did a really good job of blocking him. He wasn't that much of a difference maker statistically, and it was. But still, it's even more frustrating when you're like, you're so close to winning and you didn't.
Nick Eatman, DallasCowboys.com, joining us here on 105 through the Fan. Nick, what is Trayvon Diggs' standing at this moment? Was this a 1 week correction? Was this a timeout, or is he essentially the backup to Kyer Elam and Deron Bland at this point?
Bobby, I wish I knew. I don't know what's happening with that. I really don't. Figure it out. Is what I would say with like the coaches. Figure it out. He's a talented player, and if he's not doing what you want him to do, my first thing is what I would say is, well, are we sure you're doing the right thing? I mean, this defense is averaging 31. They're allowing 31, 32 points a game. Mm-hmm. So it's not working. And so if the scheme doesn't fit, if Diggs' play style doesn't fit to what you're doing, then maybe you should switch things up. Because one thing is proven, he's a damn good corner when he's doing what the things that make him, what he's done. Now maybe he needs more of a pass rush and all that, but like he comes in the game, he gets a pick. That's 12 men on the field, but that 12th guy certainly didn't help him get a pick. I mean, he makes a play. So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're trying to send a message. I don't know. But the other guys aren't better than him. And so I think they need to figure out, rub someone's belly, make it work, get everyone on the same page, because you need as many corners as you can, and there's no way you can tell me he's not one of your best two corners.
What did you think of Deron Bland's debut or game back?
Again, Diggs is one of the top two players in the corner. When the two of them are together, I think that they are better together than they're not.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. See you guys.
Are you positive about the tie, negative about the tie, or neutral, as the tie would lead one to believe?
I think I'm neutral, because there's a lot of things that are negative about this game. Like, just a lot of things that
just like the defense.
The defense was a negative just in general. The offense was an absolute Nick Harris posted that the Cowboys offense is number 1 and the Cowboys defense is number 32. Like, in certain rankings, you are the best and the worst, essentially. Like, it's a struggle. And that was last night. Last night's game was you are the best and also the worst at the exact same time. And I wanted to walk in today and say I saw moments that led me to believe that this defense is going to be okay. Because there were some things that I was like, oh, that's the first time we've done that. And it didn't feel like they just gave up 70, 80-yard bombs the whole game. It was just like 15-plus yard bombs. Sure. Like that's what it was.
Some of the game.
Yeah. So I wanted to come away from that with that kind of feeling. But then the outcome is you still couldn't get a stop when you needed to. So that's the biggest thing. Is Broadus has been saying this a lot about the Micah trade. You don't have a closer. You don't have a guy that can close out a game for you.
Right.
And last night, when you had many, many opportunities to get the stop that you needed because you knew your offense could do their job, you weren't able to get the stop you needed. And that's an unfortunate thing for the team. So that's the negative side of it. But the positive side is your offense was really good and got points most of every time you needed it last night. They stepped up. And Wanye Thomas needs more playing time.
Yes, obviously I agree with that. Wanye Thomas and James Houston need more playing time. All right, I'm going to go to if we have the blocked extra point and returned for 2, that would be fantastic. All right, so I'm a positive, and here's why. And that's why I just kind of wanted to gauge people's reactions, because I can understand how a lot of people would be negative. I'm positive because leading into this play, so it's 13-0. It looks like you are going to get your ass kicked in this game, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if that ends up looking like 34-6 or whatever the case is. but it looks like you're going to get wiped out after you got wiped out in your last game and you needed a miracle field goal to beat a not very good team, although maybe they changed that narrative, the Giants, yesterday. But I just saw the next 3 months and I was like, God, it's going to be great for the draft, but it's going to be miserable for watching football. And so leading up to this play, I thought it was going to be the worst day. And then you did get a little spark.
McManus for the extra point. Catch blocked. And they can return this for 2 points. And here comes Bell, and he's going to do it. All the way down the right sideline. That's a 2-point return for the Cowboys safety Marquise Bell. It was blocked by Wanye Thomas.
And so that's the reason why I'm positive, is I thought that you were just going to get annihilated in this game. Because I just want to point out one thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
Okay. Because people keep talking about the Cowboys offense. And I'm here for that eventually. But, let's not lose sight. In the first quarter, that offense looked terrible. Their first 3 drives, they ran a total of 11 plays for 25 yards. So let's not pretend like this was a shootout the entire way. It looked like it was going to be a one-way shootout, and that's why I go back to it. I'm good with the tie because I thought you were going to get smashed as this game went along.
Yeah, you're good with it because you do this frequently. And I don't know how many Tolos out there no, I said what I said 2 weeks ago and I'm stuck with it and I'm staying there. I'm never going to change my mind. So you say every week your expectations change.
Yes.
Where you're like, new information has been had. I will now base my deduction off the information that is new. And now that doesn't mean that you take away everything that you knew before.
Not
it's
at
just,
all.
okay, this showed me something different that I had not seen. And this season, Kevin, there have been a lot of things that we haven't seen from this team that I think we saw last night. So I think that's where you're positive, is because your expectation was so bad about what this game was going to turn out to be. You thought Micah's going to have 7 sacks. We're going to get embarrassed on the stage in front of everybody. Jerry might just leave the stadium before the game's even over at halftime. It's like you thought all the bad things, and it turned out to be not so bad.
Yeah, and by the way,
my expectation changed in the fourth quarter when I thought we had a chance to win it.
See, and that's a little tricky, and we can go back to make those comparisons to the Philly game because I totally understand that. By the way, apparently I am not alone in thinking that we were going to get murder, death, killed in that
right there
game
with you.
last night from the 2-1-4. Oh, damn, I missed that part. That is cool, though. And from the 2-1-0, I literally turned the game off when they scored the second touchdown. I missed the block and everything afterwards because I thought it was going to be an annihilation. And from the 3-2-1, ties are when you have two teams that aren't good enough to win. I'll tell you what, though, I don't think that's a bad thing. And maybe we save this conversation for another time. But the idea that Green Bay might not be that great is a huge positive for the Cowboys. And I know they started off like world beaters in the first 2 weeks, but take a look at that last 2 weeks where Green Bay is 0-1-1 in games against Cleveland and Dallas. That might not bode well for the rest of their season. And the worse they do, the better off your draft picks are going to be as you try to build something. Because I don't think anybody is under the illusion right now that this Cowboys team is like ready to do anything of note.
But there's still plenty of season left.
That is true.
I agree.
I will concede that.
Listen, there's a couple things. One, Jerry's continued pitch of the Herschel Walker trade and this trade being similar. I get what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
It is starting to get to a point where I'm like, okay, dude, but understand, you're selling hope again.
Yeah.
Whenever that happened, we were like, what are you doing? And then hope happened afterwards. You're selling us hope before you even get any players or any thought on what you're going to do with those picks and all that. So that is where I'm like, okay, stop that. But also, Kevin, this dude will not stop taking jabs at Micah Parsons. Before the game last night, he had already told us on Friday, whenever he hopped on with us, he was like, guys, we had Micah for 4 years, no damn Super Bowl. And then 3 different times on Sunday on this station, on NBC, he probably tweeted it out. He was just like, hey, don't forget, we didn't win a Super Bowl with Micah, everybody. So don't forget, if y'all are going to boo me, don't forget he didn't do anything either. And then after the game, he's like, and that's why I kept Dak Prescott and not Micah Parsons, because Micah can't do what Dak just did out there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude just stays taking shots at this guy.
Right. No, it is a fascinating strategy.
But Micah didn't do anything.
Yeah, you know what?
He didn't have as much. Okay, he didn't have as much of an impact on the game as I thought, but he did have an impact on the game because Schottenheimer had to come up with a plan to keep him out of the game.
Okay.
And Schottenheimer did a really good job of scheming and coming up with the plan against this defense.
All right, that is a great point. I think, at least at the very end, a little debatable because you're right. Micah Parsons did not have the impact that I thought he would. But do you think if you're Micah Parsons or if you're the Packers, they're like, except at the very end when he needed to make the biggest impact, and he did. Like whether or not you're
dead on.
If you think Dak was going to score on that play, you go back and look at it. It looks like there was going to be a hit with Dak and the defender at about the 1.5, 2 yard line. I personally could see a way that Dak breaks out a little bit further to the left before the corner can cut back in to cut him off. And I absolutely think Dak could have scored on that play. If you disagree, that's fine. I think reasonable people can disagree on that. But what you can't disagree on is Micah Parsons getting the tackle sack was able to stop that possibility from happening. So you're right. For most of the day.
Did you call that a tackle sack?
Tackle sack. And that's what I'm going to stick
with.
Yeah, exact. Or a sackle. I don't know if that will catch on.
It's spelled T-S-A-C-K. The S is silent, though.
Okay, I kind of like that. But that had the potential of breaking up a play that could have scored a touchdown and could have changed the trajectory of the rest of the game. So you're right. Most of the day, he was solid and he was getting some pressure, but I was worried that this was going to be like a disaster. And then at the very end, he made a key play.
There were times on third down, definite passing situations that he got in there and made something happen where Dak was like, oh, crap. There were definite moments when that happened. Other than that, they did a pretty good job. I really thought Schottenheimer offensively, because this is his baby, right? Like this offensive game he's the play caller. He's calling it for himself now. He had to be good last night because what we saw against Chicago 2 weeks ago, you're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
I know CeeDee Lamb got hurt, but you can't come up with anything else in between here. And then last night, the plan I thought was very good. He looked like he was in his bag in play calling. And Kevin, add into, it does look like he and Dak are not just on the same page, but think alike when it comes to what they want to accomplish offensively. Man, that the call whenever he pointed his fingers one direction, gave Javonte Williams the run, and he did some really good audibling last night. I thought there were a lot of positives to take away from this game. Unfortunately, you don't have an outcome that gives you a finality result that makes you feel good.
You brought up another thing that I think is very, very interesting and very fair. As the game goes along, it's totally fine to change your expectations. Like you talked about it, I feel this is my world philosophy. I think you should be able to change your opinion when new information is presented to you, and you don't have to just stay stuck with one thing no matter what. But as the game went along, it became clear that not only were you in this game, that you could win this game. The shocking turn of events to end the first half, and we can get to that in the next segment, that just changed my entire perception. But most of the second half, you were right in this game. I believe there was 5 lead changes, and you were right in this game. And I understand that people who feel negative today because they think either you should have won the game in regulation or you go back, and I will always think that you should have won a game where you force the team to a fourth and the game's over if you don't get it. Mm-hmm. Like any team that I follow in football, there will never, ever be a game in which my defense is facing a fourth down, and if you can make one stop, you win the game. I will never not be disappointed if you don't win that game. Now, I know you didn't lose it, but you didn't win it. And so I understand people's expectations might have changed throughout the game. And to your point about Philly, it was the same thing. I was frustrated when that game was over because I was like, man, you should have won that game. And I understand all frustration from yesterday of, man, you should have won that game.
I think I'm going to go ahead and take it. Somebody did ask, are y'all going to change it to Cowboys win because, Cowboys lose because, Cowboys tie because?
You know what? That is a great question that I had not considered. But you know what? This Friday, book it.
I'm gonna take out from this game, and I'm going to need to see more consistency from it. But I think George Pickens might be a stud. For some other team down the road, probably. But he, like for last night's game, you needed him to do some special things, and Dak trusted him.
Right.
More than anything, I think that Dak needed to trust him because, hey, I guess what? I'm going to put the ball up in the air. Well, guess what? I'm going to go take it out of the sky for you, Dak.
Right.
All right. Then you know what? I'll trust you the next time and the next time. But you make those drops, he's not going to trust you. But I come away from this game going, man, They did something good with George Pickens last night too. And was that score gone?
Yes, it was from the 469. Look, let's just talk about it real quick right now. NFL scoregami, quit being cowards and post it. Maybe you've posted it in the last 30 minutes, but you didn't post it last night. You didn't post it this morning. What, did those people go to sleep? I love the scoregami account, but they quit standing
Maybe they
on
don't
their
know.
business.
Maybe they don't know. Maybe because it's not a win.
Well,
or
I
a
know.
loss.
If I know, you should know. Because contrary to popular belief, we did not invent scoregami.
I don't
Did
know
we
about
bring
that.
it far greater public perception than
Absolutely.
it ever had?
Yes, that's
yes, but we did not invent it. That's a scoregami. So I guess there's that.
Let's talk about this on a Cowboys Monday here for you. Unlike most, tie's just weird, isn't it? I always hate the tie because then you have to consider it in your standings and your record, and you forget about it, and you're like, oh, yeah.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. Like for the rest of the season, we have to account for that tie.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pain.
That is the annoying part. I think the good part is how well this offense played against a good defense.
Boom.
And I'll take that, and I'm going to use that as confidence and optimism for, what Shoddy and Clayton Adams and Dak and the guys have cooking. Okay, so let me start on that note. What do you think? The Franklin Injury Attorney text line is open, and you know the number at this point. General at your service. You see me, bear me. N.A., there's Broadus, former Cowboy scout, the Super Bowl champ. Lucius Alexander's in the pin cup over there. Master Control here, 75 and Fitz. You fixing to go 5 flawless. Of course, Wolchuk and Chiafalo are in the house, and Carter Freeman's coordinating your video. You can watch us at 105thethefan.com, Twitch, and YouTube. Salute to Palmer. Palmer's hot Nashville chicken.
Man, that hit the spot.
Those wraps are incredible, aren't they?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep, perfect.
Okay. The result makes me more optimistic. Let's go around the room on that. Do you guys agree?
Yeah. Listen, I thought one of the big things when it comes to basically the entire tenure of Dak Prescott, Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy, it was you can put up numbers versus bad team. You can do what you did versus the Giants. It's like nobody's really surprised. Divisional game, crappy opponent, okay.
Whoop-de-doo.
But now for the second time, you've shown 1 versus Filthy, and now 2 versus the Packers, 2 bona fide playoff teams, playoff defenses, and Dak and Shoddy, for the most part, at their best. I think we're watching Dak Prescott play the best football of his career, maybe the best game of his career last night. It doesn't end in a win, which is super weird, and we'll continue to hammer that home. But he is absolutely dialed right now, and huge credit to the whole staff, like you mentioned, playing down guys on the offensive line, being able to do that shorthanded, no CD Lamb versus a playoff opponent, and go out there and put up 40. Come on now, dude. That's not something we're used to seeing at all.
Yeah, no, we're not used to seeing them get better as the game goes on. We're used to, people making excuses for their lack of mid-game adjustments. And we're used to when they go down 13-2 and they can't do anything for a quarter and a half, they're done. They're like a turtle on their backs.
Fold.
That didn't happen. I don't know. I guess Dak in the playoffs in 2016 against the Packers, they went down and rallied back. That was with a loaded team, a great offensive line, Ezekiel Elliott. This one is the example, I think, of your veteran quarterback figuring out how to make up for where your roster's short.
Yeah, it's. It definitely made me feel better. I did not think going into this one, especially given the opponent and the terrible history they've had in that building against them, that they had much of a chance. And to get down 13-0 until that block, it felt like this is just 2023 wild card rolling right back into 2025 week 4. You're going to get run out the building. Then the block happens. The Maris Leofau special teams hit happens, and I think that helped ignite a bit of fire. I think the offensive line, though, that's in rewatching the game, was one of the brightest takeaways for me. I don't remember a time where you'd be down a center, a guard, your left tackle leaves the game due to a concussion. Nate Thomas has to come in as a backup and play left and right tackle, and you're going up against, we talked all week, we know Micah Parsons. Rashawn Gary's pretty damn good. Lucas Van Ness has looked pretty darn good. That is a really talented front seven there of Green Bay, and they held their own. I mean, I thought Brock Hoffman played well. TJ Bass played well. When Nate Thomas got in there, Thomas held his own against Micah. Guyton was great against Micah on that Dak draw for a touchdown. So the offensive line, it's probably the best depth that they've had in that I can remember. I mean, I don't know what year you would want to go back to, but that's huge because they've had issues when it comes to finding depth pieces along that line.
Well coached, and and the fact that those guys really kind of all got to play together during training camp. I mean, I think Hoffman and Bass played every game, every snap in the preseason, so naturally you got them together there. I was really concerned about the ability of Steele and Bass to work together. And I felt like early in that football game, some of the runs, TJ Bass didn't get second level. And if you don't get second level on some of these linebackers, like the ones that they have, then you're going to have some 2 and 3 yard runs. But they weathered the storm, and I felt like they did a really nice job of overall kind of looking out for each other. They did a great job initially. Like, I think they wore Micah Parsons out in this game. I think they wore him out in a way. And I know he had some pressures, and Dak did a great job, but they did the things that we asked them to do. You chip him, you space him, you try and cut him, you double team him. I mean, even Tolbert was taking a couple of rib shots on him, the tight wing, and you're kind of like, okay, everybody, every time they saw that number 1 in green next to him, somebody just kind of took a shot at him. And I think that ultimately helped you throughout that football game.
For sure. I mean, the one time you decide to leave Ferguson one-on-one with him ends up being the big mistake, and he makes the sack to stop Dak right there. Yeah. Otherwise, for the most part, one-on-one, it felt like the tackles did a pretty nice job. He got his at times, but I would say even more so credit to Dak being able to get rid of the ball. At times he's being hit. He's right there in his face. He's trying to slap the ball out of his hands. Boom, Dak's standing tall in the pocket and letting it rip. I would say credit to Dak. Like, part of the reason why Micah's game doesn't look as good is because I think Dak was just that badass in the pocket.
Well, and we talked about this leading up to the game. Dallas receivers were going to have to win. They were going to, because the ball was going to come out quick.
For sure.
And so Dallas was going to have to find a way with Pickens. I mean, just take your pick of all the guys that dressed yesterday.
Yeah.
Everybody contributed to the offense's success.
Big third downs. Flanoy, 2 catches, 2 first downs.
Yeah.
Tolbert with the play of his career.
Oh, for sure.
With that
the
catch.
play of Dak's career,
I mean,
too.
that was a tremendous throw. But Tolbert coming again.
The Turpin catch might have been even better because
working back to the ball.
The fact that he's throwing over, like Hoffman gets beat right off the jump. And so the ball's got to come out. I mean, it's got to go over the top of a defender.
Oh, was that the 3rd and 3?
Yeah.
Well, to the boundary?
To the boundary. And
Javonte Williams, I thought, did a nice job there because that was a Micah blowing off, just crushing Hoffman.
Sorry about that. You're in a situation.
Good save. Kind of saved that one.
No, you're in a situation, and the thing with Turpin is you're starting to see legitimate downfield receiver guy.
So was there, I mean, and salute to Flanoy, who Wolchuk called a couple of clutch plays. Was there a difference schematically in the passing concepts?
No.
It was just guys winning?
No, they just needed to find a way.
Do you think the Packers corners are overrated?
I think the Packers corners are living on a front four that gets after, and they didn't get exposed the first 3 weeks of the season. They got exposed a little bit yesterday.
I mean, you look at them just on paper, it's not a good unit, but they seemed like, okay, are they at least playing well? They got exploited.
They weren't giving up big plays.
Pickens, no. Now, if you
that's because the pass rush gets after you so well.
Right. One knock that I will say frustrated me about the offense was, why does it take until 5:42 in the second quarter to target George Pickens? You got to get the ball to your best wide receiver.
I think they were scared throwing the ball early in that game.
Yeah, but we're talking
John,
6 minutes, less than 6 minutes left in the first half.
But you've
had plenty of time.
Look how the early part of that game evolved, though. They did things to make sure that this pass rush didn't hurt them, and then what happened? They got confident at the end of the game, and they put Ferguson on Micah one-on-one, and he ran it down. Yeah. Like the whole majority of the game, you're doing things to kind of keep Micah at arm's length. But then all of a sudden, it's like, man, Fergie can handle this. Let's go. Let's do this.
We got him.
And unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Well, fortunately, Dak has shrugged off any suggestion that the injury would impact him or that the collection of injuries would put him in a place here in his early 30s where he would not be good enough. I think this is by far the best 4-game stretch I've ever seen him play. I wonder how they're looking at team building around him, because right now there's not enough good on your defense to think we're a couple of trades away from having a good defense. I think this defense is so pathetic. Like, what are you thinking? We'll let this year play out, and we'll try to have this good a Dak again next year, because why couldn't he? And I think maybe you could be confident in that, but I think when you have a player playing like this and your offense is capable of so much, even without CeeDee Lamb, you got to be racking your brains to try to come up with any sort of a plan to shore this thing up. I just don't know if it's that realistic.
Yeah, I mean that's the huge unfortunate aspect of this situation right now is you do have Dak Prescott and this offense playing at a supreme level.
Well, that's what it was going to take.
On the
right?
flip side, you have the
absolutely.
single worst defense in the league.
I'm not acting like we're surprised here, right?
No.
You kind of felt like if you
this
had,
bad though.
What, the defense?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the offense.
Oh yeah.
But even that, we had questions. Dak off the injury last year, everything looked weird. You have first time, head coach and Shoddy, a bunch of new coaching staff. Like, we were optimistic, but I mean, they've really hit the ground running.
Well, if healthy, I thought this was possible. But you take 2 linemen and CeeDee Lamb out of there. They scored 14 last week against Chicago.
Yeah, that's
you put up 40.
You had to be surprised they scored 40 against Green Bay.
Oh no, I picked it to be a 28 game or 25 game. I didn't think it was going to be 40. No, absolutely not. But see, that's the thing about it was, to me, like I think that the offense last week missed opportunities. I think Dak could have had a very similar game. I think they missed some throws. I mean, that cover 2 look, the one we did not see enough of the ball going down the field against the Bears. You saw the ball going down the field against these guys. Mm-hmm. That was a big difference between these 2 games.
Okay, what'd you think of Ezeraku? Because he was flashing. I hadn't seen the all-22 yet. Was he consistent?
Yeah, that's what he does. I mean, he's kind of figured out that if he rushes down the middle, he gets effed, and so he's figured like, hey, if I don't let them get their hands on me, I have a chance. So he's a little bit better, the way that he's able to kind of dip and do some things that he did at Boston College. And he's actually playing the run really, really well.
Yeah, that's where he stood out.
That's the one thing that he has become really good at is, like, when they run the ball at him, he does a good job of staying at home and getting it done.
Okay, so to your trade question here on the defense.
Yeah.
Ezeraku had his best game. Does he continue to get better? You're going to get Overshown back. Now, you don't know what version of Overshown you're going to get, but he should immediately be your best linebacker. Does that make you feel a little bit better about your linebacking core?
Yeah.
Corners, the more bland plays, I'd like to think the better he's going to feel and get back into a rhythm, or you're just totally screwed because you just paid that guy, and that would be like a Diggs 2.0. You'll get Revel back. I don't know what to expect about him.
Better than Elam, hopefully.
Hopefully, right, because Kyrie Elam looked terrible. So is it worth it to pick up the phone and call Cincinnati about Trey Hendrickson, or if there's another edge on the market? Because right now, I mean, you hear some of the conversations going on in the locker room, and it's like all these edges are looking at each other like, who's the one that's going to step up and make a play? I think Ezeraku can morph into that guy, but it's not going to be overnight. Fowler's not it. Sam Williams isn't it, right? So you do need to add somebody to that group. Is that the spot? Is it worth it to say, hey, if we can get one guy there, that might help us to be at least serviceable, and our offense is so damn good, maybe we can compete?
I think I'd like to keep, developing Ezeraku depending on, what I got in Clowney and Houston, and add a do-everything linebacker, which is hard to snap your fingers and make appear in a trade market, but then a more quality deep safety. Especially with Hooker. I don't know how injured he is, but I don't know if they have enough at 3 spots. But I mean, to your point, that's kind of doable as long as you get improvement from Diggs and Bland, which is probably on the cards. I don't think Diggs is going to play 2 or 3 game series as bad as he did the first 3, and he did some things well last night. I mean, that tackle that he made to basically preserve the tie
and the interception, unfortunately, didn't count. But that was a vintage Trayvon Diggs play.
I guess it is. It's somewhat doable. It was interesting. Damone Clark was not active. Trayvon Diggs didn't start. I think that was the point of your rant last night, that they're trying other stuff. You really can't blame Matt Eberflus for this.
I think they were mad at Diggs for gambling in that Bears game.
Oh,
they got mad
at
him.
On the stab?
On the stab, yeah. He shouldn't have done that. They got mad at him.